Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to our evening session. My name is Maisara Othman from Rise School. This evening session is brought to you by Rise School with Dr. Patricia Murugami. Karibuni sana. Polite requests, we kindly ask that you rename yourself to include your name and your country. For example, Jane-Kenya, for us to be able to know where you're dialing in from, as we have people from all over the world. We also kindly ask that you introduce yourself in the chat with your name, current role and organization. It's a wonderful way to network. And all our sessions, we really encourage networking. Your next opportunity, your next business opportunity is just one person away, and that person may be on this call. Polite agreement, microphones will remain muted during this session. You're welcome to put your comments in the chat, and we ask that all comments remain respectful and edifying. We also ask that you put all your questions in the chat. We will have a Q&A session at the very end. We will compile all the questions and Dr. Patricia will answer them. So as we go along during the presentation, if there's any question that comes up for you, please feel free to put it in the chat, and then Dr. Patricia will answer all the questions at once. We kindly ask that as you're writing your question, you please put your name and the country you're calling or dialing in from. That way, when Dr. Patricia is answering, she's able to refer to you. For example, it will be Maisara Othman -Kenya, and then my question. So each question to have your name and where you're dialing in from. So as Dr. Patricia responds, it can be more personal and she can refer to you in the Q&A session. Kindly note that this session is being recorded and also being streamed live on our YouTube channel. That's Breakthrough with Dr. Patricia Murugami. The hashtags for our session this evening are the ones on your screen. You're welcome to take a screenshot to refer to later. You're most welcome also to take screenshots, maybe during the presentation, if there's anything that has really come up for you or a takeaway. We encourage you to take the screenshot and share it on your social media platforms, and you're welcome to tag us. Please do tag us and use these hashtags. It is my pleasure to introduce to you Dr. Patricia Murugami. Renowned leadership educator, Dr. Patricia Murugami is the founder and CEO of Breakthrough Leadership Transformation, BLT, a Pan-African leadership brand that has, over the past 2 decades, reshaped executive leadership globally. She is a sought-after speaker and executive leadership coach whose work is recognized among her peers and embraced by thousands of C-suite leaders and corporations globally. To date, through BLT, she continues to lend her expertise to Fortune 500 companies, high-impact corporations, and middle-sized enterprises in areas of self-mastery, crisis management, leadership resilience, and new normal strategies. Dr. Patricia is also a wife, mother, and Kenyan author of 3 books. The first one being Rise, the 4-Way Manifesto for Life and Legacy. Her second book, Pause, Musings on Life, Love, Leadership, and Legacy, and the Daring 2022 Journal. There's a journal out every year, so please, for next year, please make sure you get one. We always need a journal. In 2020, she founded Rise School, the first of its kind online leadership school in Africa that is focused on helping you become your next best self. If you're keen on soulful and impactful leadership conversations, tune in on Wednesdays to her popular podcast, Your Next Best Self, which was in 2021 voted top 3 most influential podcasts in Kenya. Dr. Patricia's contributions in the education sector are too many to mention, but what is evident is the indelible footprint left at various high-ranking institutions, such as the Strathmore Business School, where she was an advisor to the dean and vice dean, executive talent development on matters leadership, notably women in leadership and business and governance. Dr. Patricia holds a doctorate in business administration, transformational leadership and governance from the International School of Management in Paris. She is deeply, deeply passionate about positively impacting humanity and serves as the chair of the Clean Start Governance Board.
Good evening, everybody. I hope you've had a wonderful, in Nairobi, Kenya, it's been a cold day. I was thinking to myself, feeling this kind of cold must be a sign of age, but I embrace it even when it comes. So my name is Dr. Patricia Morogami, and I want to honor each and every one of you for making the time to accept our invitation, to share it, to share the link, and to encourage your friends, family, colleagues, team members to be here today. Today, I want to talk about something that's not something that we typically talk about being outstanding. You remember on January 6th, we had an opportunity to share how to elevate your excellence, which also is a video that we kept on our YouTube channel. Now, the thing is, once you get to excellent, the next level is what? Outstanding. And I want to start by a story of an orphan who really stood out for me early this year, because once the Kenya Certificate of Primary Education exams were done, children are then selected to go to school. And I will share my screen so that you can see the person I have in mind. This gentleman is called Geoffrey. And Geoffrey is an orphan. And Geoffrey's attained high marks, but he didn't have the school fees to go to school. And this story really stood out for me because what then happened is that he decided he's still going to school, and his neighbors gave him a kamusi, which is a Kiswahili dictionary, an Oxford dictionary, which you can see there, and a pair of shoes. And some of you who went to high school many years ago know that this was the kind of suitcase, the metal one that could withstand anything and everything. And he went to school, and he showed up at the school without fees. But he said, I am going, because he knows that education is the only way he could rewrite his future. As a matter of fact, thanks to the media houses, the Fourth Estate, he then got benefactors and sponsors who said, you know what, they haven't seen that kind of focus, that kind of determination, that kind of grit and courage. He's outstanding. He's outstanding because all it takes is to go just the extra mile to the next level to be outstanding. And so, ladies and gentlemen, what if that was you? You have passed well, there's no school fees, you've been called to a school. Would you still have the courage to pack an almost empty suitcase and to go to that school and to actually get them to think about your plight and to consider admitting you? How many of us give up even before we apply for the job? We look at the application details and we're like, I only have 4 out of 10. I only have 6 out of 10. I need to have 10. And because I don't have 10, then I'm not going to apply. How many of us eliminate and quit on ourselves? I think the first thing I want to encourage you this evening is for you to be outstanding. You have to stop quitting on yourself. And I know that's not easy because I have found in my journey of becoming your next best self, which is really becoming outstanding, it has everything to do with not quitting on yourself, even when you have enough reason to quit on yourself. The other day, I was talking to a good friend of mine and she was telling me, I'm really working on this defect of mine. I'm really trying to work at it. I feel so discouraged. And I was telling her, don't be discouraged. Don't be discouraged. If anything, look at the fact that you keep waking up and the times you wake up are much faster. You see, when you fall down, maybe the first time you stayed in the mud, the next time you picked yourself a little faster, the next time a little faster. Let's say one of the things you struggle with is a hot temper. Perhaps the first time it takes time for you to cool down, 10 minutes, 1 hour. Let's say 1 hour. Then over time, it shrinks all the way. I think one of the things we need to remind ourselves is perfectionism is the highest form of self-abuse, something I write about in Rise. And I have found, because I'm a recovering perfectionist, that when you are a perfectionist, you never see the progress you've made. And sometimes you don't see the progress in others. And so you cut yourself off the possibilities of being joyful and outstanding in the journey. So don't get me wrong, being outstanding has nothing to do with perfectionism. It means trying to go the extra mile every time. In a few minutes, I'll be sharing with you a newly launched model that I have on how to see your journey of becoming outstanding. So guess what? This gentleman inspired me, and he got me to ask myself, how many times do I tell myself I can't do it? How many times do I choose not to be outstanding? Needless to say, he's now in school, fully sponsored. So who knows what your quest will do by raising your hand and saying, I am ready to move forward. Now, today is also the International Day for SMEs and medium-sized enterprises. So I want to honor every entrepreneur. They say that Africans are made of side hustles. Yes, so you have your job and then you have all these other things you're doing. So I want to honor each and every one of you, because I find many entrepreneurs do not focus on learning. You focus on making that bottom line without realizing that you're burning out. And because you're the founder, if you don't do something about your growth, you then don't go as far as you should. So I want to honor each and every one of you who's an entrepreneur in one way or the other. The difference between ordinary and extraordinary is that little what? That little extra. You see, when you're excellent, it's 10. But when you're great, it's 10. When you're excellent, it's 10.5. When you're outstanding, it's 11 out of 10. And I want to encourage you that being extraordinary does not require you to have a platform. You can be extraordinary by putting a little bit of love, a little bit more care, a little bit more attention in the ordinary things. One of my mentors, who's a saint, Saint Josemaria Escrivá, whose feast we celebrated yesterday, said that, you know what, if you put a little love in the ordinary things, they become extraordinary, And that goes back to intention. What is your intention? What is your intention when you're thinking about being extraordinary? Write down, what's your intention? Is it to outshine so-and-so, to beat the competition, to show them, they had said, I can't make it, let them see, wacha wanione, as we would say in Kiswahili, let them see. No, I hope you can purify that intention, rectify it, and say, you know what? I want to be extraordinary because I was created to be extraordinary. Created to be extraordinary. Now, there are 3 types of people, yeah? And, I'll say this loosely. I think there are very many categorizations, but there are 3 types of people on this webinar this evening. This evening, the 27th of June, 2022. And the reason that we set this webinar gift for you today is because we didn't want you to cross over to the second half of the year without finding ways to encourage yourself to raise your standard. And being outstanding has everything to do with standards. And so let's first talk about the 3 types of people. So you can see here, there's a whole melee of types of people. The first one, you're in a job that you like and you want more. Okay, so you might be a number 1 in the group number 1. So you like your job, you love your job, you want more. Then there's a second type, in a job you dislike or at crossroads. Maybe you're being retrenched, maybe there's a restructuring, maybe you've been given a job that you don't really think should be yours, you feel humiliated. Maybe you're going through the quagmire of that pressure and you want more. Do you identify with this person? Maybe some of you do. The third one, you're in between jobs. You currently don't have an occupation that brings you a salary and you want more. Yeah, so you're searching for a job and there's this whole pandemic which is not ending and you're wondering, how will I get through this? Each of us is somewhere. So we are one of these 3 people. Note down in your journal, which person are you? Because from here, I want to encourage you. It doesn't matter whether you love your job. It doesn't matter whether you don't really like your job. It doesn't matter whether you don't have a job. By virtue of being alive and trying to just make ends meet, trying to stretch your shilling, you already have an occupation, even if it is not bringing the income that you want. I want to encourage you. I've been reading Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning. As you know, a number of you have heard me talk about the book target. I see a lot of our alumni. I'm excited to see all of you. And you know, we say that once you go through the breakthrough experience, you can't be reading a single digit number of books. In other words, you can't be reading less than 9 books in a year. Because, you know, I come from the mountain slopes of Kenya. And so this is a bit of a tongue twister. Leaders who don't read cannot lead in the future of work and life. And so one of the things I'm trying to do this year, and I think when we meet again later in the year, I'll give you a good update, is to read 100 books, which really means 2 books a week. And one of the books that I am rereading, and I was reading just to prepare for today and to get my mind and heart ready for each and every one of you, is Viktor Frankl's book on man's search for meaning. And he says, everything can be taken from a man, but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. Viktor Frankl suffered atrocities, at the time when you couldn't, most people gave up the minute they entered the Jewish, as Jews into the Nazi camp. And they gave up and they said, you know what, I can't be more than this. I am just going to go into the gas chamber. And he lost everything. But he realized even in those incredibly tough, human spirit breaking circumstances, that he could choose his attitude. And ladies and gentlemen, the first way to raise your bar, to raise your standard, is to tell yourself, my standard is that no matter what happens, I am not going to let it discourage me to the point of despair. Because they say, I was telling my daughter as she's preparing for exams, that it's darkest just before what? Just before dawn. So no matter how tough it is, hang in there, hang in there. The other day we were celebrating 18 years of our marriage. And we were just having a chat with Murugami. And I was telling him, you know, when I look back, there are very many reasons why people walk out of marriages. They give up on each other, they give up on themselves. But I was telling him that one thing I've learned in 18 years of being married to him is that just around the corner of your next argument is an opportunity to reconnect, to forgive, and to not quit on yourself and on each other. And so sometimes it just takes turning the bend, just turning the bend and finding out, oh, I have an opportunity to relook at this situation, because it comes down to your attitude, no matter what circumstances. So whether you're a person in group 1, group 2, or group 3, choose your attitude and let your attitude be outstanding. Outstanding. I have seen people who are in such dire circumstances and they teach me so much. They teach me so much because I look and I say, if I had such little resources, would I show up the way they do? And I want to encourage you. And today I must honor a number of people, because I think some of the smaller businesses, remember I said that today is International SMEs Day. And so I want to honor a number of entrepreneurs who have served me personally or even as a business. I want to start with my makeup artist, Zena, who might be on this call, who I was introduced to by my friend Zuhura. And Zena shows up. When I tell her, Zena, be at my house at 4:30 a.m. because I've got to be somewhere else for mass at 6:30. She shows up. And she shows up without complaining. I must tell you, I had interviewed very many Muas, makeup artists. And I want to honor her because she's helped me look the way I look today. And she was here strike of dawn, 4:30, because she needed to be on the other side of town by 6:30. Zena comes in like a professional, 4:30, sets up her makeup artist stuff, does the makeup and leaves immediately. And I have been so inspired by Zena. You see, many times we don't realize the teachers are all around us and they're teaching us something, but we've got to be ready to learn. So Zena Glam, she's Zena Glam on Instagram. I want to give a shout out. May your business prosper and cross to multi-generational impact, because I have seen you be outstanding in the way you serve us. The other thing is she's very discreet. So the other day she was in my house at 4:30. Then we had an event at Kempinski. As I walked into Kempinski at about 7:30, I meet her there. I said, Zena, you are here. She said, yeah, I have another client. And many times I even may know the other client, but she's so discreet and keeps her details confidential because she knows this is a personal service that has to be rendered at professional standards. Ladies and gentlemen, how outstanding are you if someone asked you to wake up and show up for work at 4:30? Would you do it, or would you be grumbling, saying, this is not the time we should be working? You don't know about life-work integration? Life-work integration has its place. but at the same time, we also have standards to actually elevate. So ladies and gentlemen, why are you trying so hard to fit in when you are born to stand out? You are born to stand out. Stop trying to fit in. There's a reason you are born with a unique set of talents, gifts, and everything else that you have. The good, the bad, and the ugly, may I add, because all that comes into serving higher purpose. So stop trying to fit in. Start to think about, how can I stand out to serve higher purpose? And so I want to introduce you to a model around how you can choose to be outstanding. And the word outstanding is made up of 3 elements. Out means, which means higher than the norm, outside of what is normal. Standing means you actually have to have an upright position. By the way, how are you learning today? Are you still out back saying, when will this webinar end? Are you just going through the motions? You know, your posture, not only your posture when you're seated right now, but your posture of learning, your posture of how you show up to life says everything about how you can truly go much farther. So I want to encourage you, being outstanding, the last part is ing, which means it's continuous. It's not be outstand, no, it's outstanding, which means a continuous prose. You're going to continuously try and become your next best self. So the only way to do that is to start inside out. The first thing, private, in your private space, be outstanding. Raise your standards. What does private space mean? Private space means there where you are, where nobody knows. It's those feelings you experience, that experience that may be just personal and internal to you, that you think, I'm going to get them. But instead of saying, I'm going to get them, you say, what can I learn? Instead of having a victim mentality, you say, life is not happening to me, it's happening for me. And so in private, in your private intimacy, in your private space where nobody knows, I must say that's like in your soul, in the things that happen deep, deep, deep inside. What is your standard? What is your standard? Do you have a standard? And you know, this private space has everything to do with how we show up. I'll give you a little example. One of the things that I learned from my parents is they would always tell us, when you get into the powder room or the washroom, always leave it better than you found it. You see, that's a private room and nobody will know whether you left it better or not, especially if there's no one queuing. But you have to choose, and they would say, Mom would always say, look back and see, is it cleaner than you found it? Then I went to Precious Blood Rerouter. And one of the things we are taught by virtue of consequences is that you never drop a piece of paper. You know, to date, 30 plus years later, if I have a piece of trash, I will carry it in my hand until I find a dustbin. What is that? So I get so incensed and upset when the driver in front of me is throwing trash. I'm always, you know, let's not go there. I will flash lights and tell them what is happening, because this Mother Earth is ours. But you see, sometimes we don't realize that the things we do in private have a very big impact on how we show up in public. So what is your standard for the things you do and experience in private? In private, the things that no one else knows. When you have an opportunity to be mean, do you choose to be kind? When you have an opportunity to talk about someone in a space they are not in, do you choose to keep quiet and not mention them and not give them the opportunity, or do you then go ahead and mention them? If an opportunity to constructively critique someone, do you choose to harbor that resentment and feel angry, or do you choose to say, you know what, I need to forgive, I need to figure out how to deal with this emotion and then speak to them? What you do in private will have a big effect on what you do at the next level. So raise your standard, set a standard for your private space. Second, personal. You might wonder, is there a difference between personal and private? Yes, there is. Private is deeply intimate to you, very much that more of your soul and anything that impacts on your soul. Personal may be things that you allow 1 or 2 people to see. For example, what is the state of your, very basically, what is the state of your drawers? What is the state? By the way, in private, I may put there also your phone. Yeah, the phone is generally private, can also be personal, can also be public, depends on you. But what I have found is that in the personal space, it is spaces that may be shared. For example, in a family space, you may have your bedroom, you may have a car, you may have a drawer in the office. It's personal. How organized is it? Is it outstanding? One of the things you talk about in the RISE Masterclass is, do you have a will? You know, when I think about a will, I equate it, and I talk about it in the masterclass, I equate it to your leave notes, you know, your handover notes when you're going on leave. And many times we don't work like it's our last day. What if we chose to love people, to show up in life, to work like it's our last day, or better still, like our first day? Personal. So do a personal audit. Check, what are the things that are personal to you? What are the projects that are personal to you? And what is the standard that you're maintaining right there? It could mean even a space that has to do with you, but that is shared. So other people may have an inkling of how you show up. So I want to encourage you, personal spaces, raise your standard. One piece of homework I'd like to give you right there is, when is the last time you did a laptop computer audit to just check whether you're carrying trash along with you? When is the last time you cleared your cache? Let's not even talk about laptops and phones and desktops. Let's talk about your drawers, you know? What's the state of your drawer in your bedroom? You know, if you are sick and you were to guide someone to pull out certain things from your drawers, would they be able, or would you be panicking even if you're sick, about how they should then move forward? So think about your personal space and raise the standard. Raise your standard beyond excellence. And you know, when you raise your standard, it means choosing to be neat, choosing to be orderly, choosing to ensure you actually track and have an audit trail, choosing and then committing and then following through with it. Third level, family and friends. What is your personal standard when it comes to family and friends? Yeah, I guess you're thinking, oh, should one have a standard? Yes. If you're going to be outstanding, have a standard. Say, I will try my best. I'll never lose my cool with my family. I will never judge my family. I'll always choose to listen to the other side. I will choose to be kind to my family who is stuck with me, but I must try. I will choose to make my friends part of family and my family friends. I will choose to speak and to smile. I will do the same with my family. You see, that's a personal standard. I'm reminded of an auntie of mine, may she rest in peace. And one of the things that she did is she actually would always talk about other people positive. When everyone else was upset about that family member, she would say, you people, just cool down. And she would speak in a very cool tone. And she'd say, let's give her the benefit of doubt. Maybe she's going through. That's just the icing on the cake. A lot of it is how we show up in all these spaces. So ask yourself, what is your family standard? What is your standard for your friends? Can they lean on you? Can they be themselves? What is it that you bring to those spaces which have to do with your family and friends? Are you sunshine or are you a gloom dispenser? So what's your personal standard? The next level. The next level, professional. You know, a professional is someone who shows up to work even when they don't feel like it. A professional is someone who shows up and does an excellent piece of work even when they don't feel like it. So anytime we go to work and we're like, I don't feel like working, and we behave subsequent to that comment, you're behaving like amateurs. So ladies and gentlemen, what is your professional standard? Is it that every time when you actually show up to work and do a piece of work, it is signed with a signature of beyond excellence? Because beyond excellence is outstanding. Do you take a small job? And I'm reminded here of a lady who used to serve us tea in one space that I worked. And I tell you, she'd come and serve us tea on the dot. And the tea was hot, full of milk. At the time, I loved milk. And then she even had these snacks which she would sell on the side. She was a true professional. And it reminds me again of what Saint Josemaria would say. It's not so much the seniority of the job that you do, that a CEO's job is much more important than the lady who serves us tea. No, I think, and he tells us, that it's the amount of love and personal standards that you put into your work. Just look around where you are right now. Can you see the signature of your personal standard? Or is it just lost in the confusion of life? Choose to raise your bar. And you know, raising your bar from a professional standard means choosing to learn all the time. I have found the best professionals, and I've worked with many outstanding people, are the ones who take their learning very seriously. They don't wait for the employer to sponsor them. They actually say, my learning is my business. My career is my business. I'm going to treat my career like a chief executive. So what's your professional standard? Are you the kind of person that only works when the boss is there? Or if you're the boss, are you the kind who only leads people through fear? And now that people are working in a hybrid situation, you probably can't see what they're doing. So I want to encourage you, work for a higher purpose. Work, if you believe in God, for God. The salary and all the accolades and awards that come are as a result of how you work. So what is your professional standard? Can you raise it a notch now that we're going to the second half of the year? Lastly, public space. You see, there's no point of us starting the public space moving inward. It's an inside out. So when you think about the public space, it's how you appear out there in the community, how you appear to people who don't really know you. And I have found that it's all a conglomeration of how you show up in your private, personal, family and friends, professional, all that coupled together is how you show up in public. So how do you show up in public? Is it authentic? Is it aligned to your values? Is it connected to the outstanding person that you're aiming to be? Is it your next best self? And I want to encourage you, the public space, and now we are in Kenya, we are about to go into the election season. Really, it's really now here. And people are showing up in public in ways that maybe we haven't seen. And I was interested to listen to a conversation today where these people were saying, we should actually see what is the track record of this person before we vote them in. Because how they show up in their personal, family, friends, professional, all adds up to how they show up in public. So let's not be cheated by how someone tries to demonstrate that they're something different from who they are. That said, I think there's an opportunity for people to have a second chance, a third chance, a fourth chance. So what I want to encourage you, what standards are you going to create to be outstanding, such that no matter whether people are watching or not, you hold yourself to a high bar? And what does holding yourself to a high bar mean? It means that you check your beliefs. You see, the people who say, what I do in public is the only thing that matters. That's a faulty belief. But it's a belief that many people have worked with. And that's why you find social media is so prolific, because you want to show up on social media in a certain way. And it's true, we'll curate those images, and many times they're not actually really what life is. But I want to encourage you, challenge yourself and ask yourself, what is my personal standard in private, where nobody is watching? That's where character is created. And that is where the bar for outstandingness shows up. And then you continue to the next level. So you're probably asking yourself, now when I have the standard, how do I keep to that standard? And this is where we come in. In my first book, Rise, which the Rise Masterclass was born from, I say if opportunity does not knock, build a revolving door. So it doesn't matter whether you're person 1, 2, or 3, build a revolving door. And what does that mean? I quote Michelangelo, who says, the greatest danger for most of us is not that our aim is too high and we miss it, but that it's too low and we reach it. Ladies and gentlemen, are you shortchanging yourself in terms of making such small standards for yourself when you are made for more, when you are born to be outstanding? I was talking to a young couple who's just gotten married, and I'm so excited for them. And they're telling me, Patricia, what advice can you give us? And I was telling them, in this day and age, do not put blockages to having more children. I personally wish I had many more children. God will grant them if he does. But one of the things I have told young couples, don't give in to the public ideas that your family should be a 1 person or 1.2 people. If God has given you the ability to have the children, please have them. And they're like, whoa, we never thought we'd hear something like that in this day and age. And I told them, I want to honor you because you've also lived a pure engagement. And so you will also be blessed for that, because that's outstanding in this day and age. And so they got into their marriage with very high goals on how they will keep their marriage going. And they have great examples, including their parents. So I want to encourage you. What are those targets that you're setting for yourself that are so low that you will reach them anyway? Why not set an outstanding goal and aim? And then even if you miss it, it'll be just 1 level below. And tomorrow you can choose to be your next best. So how do we do this? So after many years of struggle personally to also raise my own personal standard, I found that the first thing we need to do is to focus on our hearts. And this was born out of my doctoral research, where I found that many times people focus on the outside in, But the real level of being excellent and outstanding has everything to do with inside out. And remember, I said that outstanding is beyond excellence. So raising your heart. And this is one manifesto that I think many of us get stuck right here, because the heart is the source of everything. And so if you ask yourself, I want to grow, I want to become my next best self, I want to be outstanding, the first thing we ought to do is to raise our hearts, which means get to know yourself, understand your triggers, understand and face some of those things that are good, bad, and ugly that you don't really want to face. Look at feedback. And part of this process in the Rise Masterclass is to equip you with the courage to raise your heart. You see, the idea of raising your heart then gives way to raising your head. There's no point of being intellectually so competent that you even become intellectually arrogant, which I think very many people who are experts get into that trap. You see, when you raise your heart, you have a combination of courage and humility. When you raise your head, you're then raising your competence, your ability to look at, this is how I show up at work. This is how I do the things I do. How about if I chose to actually demonstrate a very different kind of professionalism? How about if I say, you know what, this year I have to focus and pay school fees for myself to make the next leap forward and to leapfrog. And you know, in a few minutes, you'll be hearing from those who've done the Rise Masterclass. I am fascinated and totally moved at the kind of jumps, leaps they made forward, because growth starts inside out. So you raise your heart, then you raise your head. So raising your heart is doing a bit of a review on how far you've come, what it is that's holding you back, how you can move forward. Then raising your head is taking that and saying, now, what do I need to unlearn? What are the things, the habits that are no longer serving me well? And how can I unlearn those? You see, in a world full of average, be outstanding. Be the one who greets people. Be the one who helps that person who needs some help. Be the one who finishes your work to such a high level of excellence that you are outstanding. Be the one that your signature is signed off by how you show up. So this has to do with a combination of raising your heart, raising your head. The next level is raising your hand. And this has everything to do with we do not grow alone. I'm excited to see over 340 of you right now on this call and many others on our YouTube channel. I'm even more excited that some people sent me back my own invitation saying, Patricia, you can't, like, oh, you're the one who's hosting this thing. And I was like, that just shows generosity that they were sharing this even in groups where I am, because they said people cannot miss the ability to come and learn something, to be outstanding. So raising your hand means ask the question, share, speak about someone in a room that they're not there. You know, I'm fascinated and I want to honor all those who in one or the other have talked about breakthrough and Rise School to your corporates. Some of your corporates are sponsoring 10 people to the Rise Masterclass because of one of you who had the courage to raise your hand and say, this program can be done from anywhere in the world. Why don't we sponsor people so that people can rise? Raise your hand and with the other hand, lift others. And that's the only way we can rise, by lifting others. You see, to be outstanding, get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Many times it's uncomfortable to raise your hand, to ask the question, to challenge status quo. But even if your stomach is churning, your voice is trembling, your hands are shaking, ask the question, be outstanding, because it doesn't come with comfort. The last one, raise yourself for a higher purpose. And here I want to encourage you that we cannot be outstanding so that we just get the awards. No, I hope that you can raise yourself for a higher purpose. And maybe you're asking yourself, what's your higher purpose? You see, higher purpose has everything to do with God who created, if you believe in God, and how the gifts and talents are supposed to serve a higher reason. Each of us has a problem that we're created to solve. Start looking for that problem. And this Rise Masterclass will help you clarify your pain points, connect them with your passion zone, and help you see the purpose that you were created for and follow it through. Funny enough, many times you already know your purpose, you just need to discern it and detect it and start to live more purposefully. So these 4 manifestos are the ways in which we have found you become outstanding. And you know, when all is said and done, unless you claim extraordinary, ordinary claims you. You see, if you're going to wake up every morning to pray, to exercise, to read, it's very easy to also just give in to the law of gravity and just snooze away. When you snooze, you lose. But when you claim extraordinary and you even have accountability partners, which is what the masterclass gets you to think about, your personal board of directors, then you're going to be feeling really sheepish every day you meet your people who you're accountable to and tell them, again, I didn't do it. Again, I didn't do it. I haven't done that thing which I had said I would do. Those excuses are claiming ordinary. So ladies and gentlemen, claim extraordinary. Now, to claim extraordinary, you've got to train your mind to be stronger than your emotions. And I think this is where true leadership comes. Train your mind to be stronger than your emotions, or else you will lose yourself every time, because emotions are very powerful and strong. So train your mind. But how do you train your mind? And this is where we come in as risers. You see, the Rise Masterclass is a 12-week self-paced leadership circle, and we deliver it virtually. Everything is pre-recorded. So whether you are in Dubai, the US, Malawi, Zambia, South Africa, Lodwar, wherever you are in the world, you can do it. And then we've included 4 live virtual group coaching sessions, which help you raise your accountability. The deadline is the 4th of July, and we'll be opening our doors on the 11th of July. And I'm excited to see so many people excited about joining this second cohort. And so what are the things you're going to gain? So there are 12 growth books, which I painstakingly and lovingly developed from scratch to accompany each of the 12 learning videos. And these growth books are valued at $11,980. Then I'm already a leadership coach. And so the Ask Dr. Pat coaching Q&A sessions, which are 60-minute live group coaching, are valued at $2,915. And if you missed that, the replays are available for you. Then there are the 12 learning videos, which we created with my team. And I walked through each of the modules around the 4 manifestos, valued at $35,940. And then a community of risers to connect with. In a few minutes, you'll be hearing from them and see how they have actually encouraged each other to move forward. And on top of that, a physical Kindle version of Rise. So this is all you're going to get from the Rise Masterclass. And the total value of that is what? USD 50,835. But we're not going to charge you that. No. We'll charge you much less, because we realize that everyone wants to rise. And so the price in Kenya shillings is 98,675. The price in dollars is 870 at the current rate. Ladies and gentlemen, is that not a deal or what? From wherever you are, this was the experience we got from the COVID pandemic. And now we are being told it's a never normal. We'll never go to new normal. It's never normal. So the best way to equip yourself to be outstanding is to keep rising. Ladies and gentlemen, it's one thing to hear me talk about this, but I hope you started to raise your standards inside out by using the 4 manifestos of how to raise your heart, your head, your hand for a higher purpose. But don't believe me. Let's hear from our risers as to the experience they had when they were going through this leadership circle and masterclass, because we already graduated 45 leaders a few weeks ago. So let me hand it back to my Sarah to then bring on the risers who graduated, so you can hear from them the real experience. Because after all, the proof of the food and the eating is there. The proof of the pudding is in the eating. Is that how it says? So I look forward to hearing from them now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Patricia. That was absolutely incredible. Very, very insightful. Thank you very much. We're here to really taking notes. I hope everyone has their journal. Polite reminder to please ask your questions in the chat so that we can compile them, and then Dr. Patricia will respond to them at the end. So here we go, our cohort 1, who graduated on the 20th of May. First up, we have Alice Luanga. She's originally from Uganda, currently working in the UAE. She was so sad she was not able to be with us live today. However, she sent us a video because she said she is not going to miss this. She's not going to miss to, let everyone know what her experience was like. So please let us listen to her.
Hello and good evening. My name is Alice Luanga. I work as a corporate governance specialist, and I live in Dubai, UAE. I was privileged to be part of the Rise Masterclass from February 2022, this year, until May 2022. It was an extremely eye-opening experience and lots of fun. At the time I joined the class, I kept on asking myself, yes, I'm successful, but am I truly the best I can possibly be? And the Rise Masterclass really helped with finding answers to this question. There's a lot to ponder upon. There's a lot to dig up from the past and think of into the future, but it's a wonderful, very enlightening class, and you do not want to miss it. Please sign up, and all the best. God bless you.
Thank you so much, Alice in absentia. Thank you, thank you. Next up, we have Emma Mothanje. Emma is originally from Kenya, currently based in Malawi. Emma, are you with us?
Thank you, Ms. Sarah.
Fantastic. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Dr. Patricia, for that wonderful session. You already have my name, title, so I guess I can skip the introduction. When Dr. Patricia started this Rise Masterclass, she said that the greatest investment is in your education, character, personal growth. And for sure, this masterclass has been transformational for me. It's been great and a worthwhile investment in the journey of becoming my next best self. If I had been given the whole day to talk about the Rise Masterclass, the lessons learned, the beliefs, habits changed, I would sure have done that, but due to time limitations, I will only give 4 key highlights. First, on a subconscious level, I have noticed that I have become more confident, more daring in using my voice. Maybe my colleagues who are here in this session have been wondering what has happened to Emma. I surprise myself by making contributions or saying things which before I could never have said without having to sweat over it. Secondly, I have a great clarity on my goals. One of the exercises which we did in the Rise Masterclass was coming up with a vision board. And one of my goals in this vision board is to be more healthy. So I am very keen in having unapologetic self-care, which also I learned from the Rise Masterclass. For example, I have planned that every week I exercise for 3 days, 1 hour. So despite the heavy workload, my family responsibilities, which of course I attend to, I push myself in making sure that I exercise for these 3 hours in the week. I'm also committed in being a lifelong learner. Maybe my goal is not 100 books like Dr. Patricia, but to start with, I have a goal of reading 24 books in the year, and I'm very well in progress towards reaching that goal. And the last thing is being intentional in helping others rise. I supervise colleagues here in the office, and since the Rise Masterclass, I'm very intentional in that, in helping other people to rise, and also spending more time or quality time with my family, my friends, so that I can help them to rise. So thank you for giving me this opportunity to share, and I pray that you all get to join this wonderful session. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Emma. I think that is a wonderful example of being outstanding. You know, like you're saying, despite the workload, you're still committed to your unapologetic self-care. Well done for that. So next up, we have Sonny Musundi from Kenya. Sonny, are you with us? Looking for you. Sonny.
Okay, thank you. I'm here, my Sarah.
Wonderful.
So, yeah, thank you so much. So, yeah, as you can see, my name is Sonny Anangasa Musundi. I'm currently head of commercial NG Kenya. In terms of my experience, I don't even know what I can say about the Rise Masterclass, but all I can say is that it has really transformed me and a lot of the things that I was doing. Through this masterclass, I've been able to raise my heart, my head, my hand and at the same time lifting others. And also I'm raising myself for a higher purpose. And how do I do that? For me, after that masterclass, number one, I did what you'd call self-disruption. And I've been able to grow. I got a new job, a more challenging position. It is so exciting for me. Secondly, I do have a group of ladies. I think some of them are in here that I mentor, and I'm pouring so much out based on what I learned from that masterclass. And all I would tell anyone else who really is intentional to grow, because for me, this was that year that I decided I want to learn and I want to grow. And the Rise Masterclass has really done it for me. All I could tell others who probably want to grow or want to disrupt themselves or are feeling stuck is that the minute you start a course like the Rise Masterclass, what happens to you is that it really transforms you as an individual, because you're able to discover who you are. You're able to get so much that you can feed others, because again, you cannot pour from an empty cup. You become a better leader, because it is in knowing yourself that you can be able to grow others. So for me, I'd say, do not look at the cost, because the value of what this has brought to me, to be honest, is much, much more than what you're looking at as an a fee there. And for me, what I'll say, whatever I learned from the masterclass is invaluable. I cannot put value to it, because it has triggered something in me that I don't think will stop anytime soon. So for me, it's just to encourage people to invest in yourselves. Invest in yourselves. And thank you so much, Dr. Patricia and the whole team. Thank you. I don't have any more to say.
Thank you so much, Sonny. Thank you very, very much. Congratulations on your new position, your new job, and congratulations on your mentorship program that you're doing. This is just absolutely amazing. You know, it's real transformation, you know. So now moving along, we have Scholar. Scholar is originally from Kenya, but currently working in Burundi. Scholar, are you with us?
Yes, Mary Sarah, I'm here. Good evening.
Wonderful.
Okay, so my name is Scholastica Mwakuliga. I'm Regional Internal Auditor, International Conference of the Great Lakes region in Burundi. Now, where do I start with this Rise Masterclass? For a very long time, I wanted to do a leadership course with Dr. Patricia, but I think the time was not right. So when I changed jobs, I think last year, I was really struggling to settle in my current role. Then luckily enough, I think come January, I saw this Rise Masterclass being advertised, and I think I was ready, because I really needed to understand myself, and I took up the challenge. So it has been a good experience. And the class we attended gave me the tools and confidence that I can raise my hand to any position in the organization, because initially it was a bit limiting, because you think, what will people say? And Rise Masterclass made me elevate beyond that. And as I was settling in the current role, I was also lifting others, my team, where we were working together. And the changes were phenomenal. I mean, courtesy of this class. And one thing which struck me is building a legacy on a daily basis. How do we do this? We experience these things on a daily basis. But what do you want to be remembered for? Yeah? Who are you investing for? Those key questions kept on lingering in my mind, and you have questions. And taking charge of my professional career, what I want, and developing a roadmap, a clear roadmap of what I want in the next few years, of course, in guidance with God first, then the rest will follow. But you find yourself taking charge of your work, your study, and everything falls into place. Then secondly, raising boundaries and deciding I'm going to do this. And those who really want to invest in this class, it is worthwhile. You raise your boundaries and you'll never regret. it has been a good experience. Initially, it was not smooth because of some work. I was getting a bit overwhelmed, and the team never gave up. I remember Dr. Patricia saying, look, send me a text message. How far with your class? How far have you reached? And I remember one time I was really lagging behind. And she told me, you know what? You just have to set time for study and get an accountability partner. And for sure, I did that. And the rest was history. The rest of the modules I was finishing before time. And it shows a lot of encouragement with the team and the exceptional team, my Sarah, Betty, and everyone. They really have to be with you. It's virtual, but you feel the presence. That personal touch is there. So those who really want to join the class, take up the challenge. You won't regret. It's amazing. And thank you so much, Dr. Patricia and the team.
Thank you very much, Scholar. Thank you very much. And say hello to everyone there in Burundi for us. Thank you very much. Now you have heard from Dr. Patricia about the masterclass. You've heard from our risers. Once you graduate, you're called a riser because you're really raising the bar in everything you do and you're constantly rising. So you're thinking, what are the next steps? Are you ready to become your next best self? Your next best self is just a click away. We welcome you to join the Rise Masterclass by going onto our website, riseschool.academy. You're welcome to pay there via M-Pesa or your debit or credit card. As Dr. Patricia mentioned, the investment is only, we'll say only, $98,675. You've seen the value over $50,000 worth. We do have installment payment options available. We're happy to help you with that. The application deadline is the 4th of July. Be among the people who say, I'm not procrastinating. Let's not procrastinate. Let's do this now. Enroll on our website. The masterclass orientation is on the 11th of July. We are so ready to help you. And Dr. Patricia is energized, waiting to help you, to catalyze you to become your next best self. Please do connect with us on our social media platforms. We're on all of them. As mentioned, there's the Dr. Patricia's podcast, Your Next Best Self, on Wednesdays. Tune in. We have over 60 episodes that will really change your life. Our event hashtags. Remember, would really like to hear what has been your greatest takeaway, your aha moment. Please do tag us and use these hashtags. And now moving on to our Q&A session. So I'll give you enough time to, really put down on your social media what has been your greatest aha moment, what it is that are you committing to do moving forward. We'd also like to hear that in the chat. So please quickly just type that out there. So as we're answering the questions, please do let us know also your comments on what it is that you have committed to do moving forward and what has been your greatest takeaway. So over to Dr. Patricia for our Q&A. We have sent all the questions to her, and over to you, Dr. Patricia.
Thank you so much, my Sarah. I want to honor each and every one of the risers who spoke today. Alice, Mudanje, Sonny, Scholar. I've known them from previous lives. Others I got to know here. I remember when we flew into Dubai to attend the Dubai International Expo, I had a chance to meet Alice face to face. This is what happens when you get into a network, whichever country you're in, there's probably a riser or someone who's part of the breakthrough community, and you then settle. Thank you so much for honoring us with your testimonials. I want to respond. I know our time is almost up. I want to respond to Stephen Mukasa. Thank you so much, Stephen, all the way from Uganda. We worked together. Thank you for your compliment. Your question around how can we manage our triggers whenever they show up, irrespective of trying to control or suppress them? Great question. So a couple of things, though I know if you attend the Rise Masterclass, you'll get more details. The first thing is honor yourself to understand the trigger source. You see, when you're triggered to get upset, we're triggered to feel envious, we are triggered to feel lazy. Whatever the trigger is in a negative sense is coming from somewhere. So for example, if I'm triggered to get upset, I need to honor myself first to recognize that anger is a surface emotion that shows that there are many other things that may not be working out. Actually, many of these more negative emotions reflect something we have lost. Okay? So honor that emotion rather than suppressing it. I think feeling the emotion is not the problem, is what we do with that emotion. So first thing, recognize the source of the trigger. And one of the things we do in the Rise Masterclass is to delve deeply into the whole idea of knowing your dark side, understanding and accepting your season, and being unapologetic on your self-care. Because self-leadership is the first step of leadership. Now, once you understand your triggers, then you begin to understand, oh, when this happens, then I feel like this. You start seeing the cause and effect. And then the next part is, how do you interrupt that pattern? So I'll give you a quick example. When we moved house a number of years ago, I remember we moved house. You know how it is when you've ever moved house, it's a tiring experience. You're trying to organize your home. You're trying to get everything in place. And there were some rooms that had no furniture and no curtains, and we were willing to just finish the house when we moved into it because we had gotten really good accountability partners. And that helped us not get triggered. But on the flip side, when we moved in, I remember seeing my family members were really getting impatient and really getting upset. And my mom came to just bless us as we're getting into the home. And she told me, Patricia, had you thought about food? And I was like, oh, in the grand scheme of things, I hadn't thought about food. And she said, can you see the way the tempers are around here? And I was like, the trigger here is hunger. And when people are hungry, they tend to be angry. And some people say ugly because, you know, anger doesn't necessarily help us look good. And she said, can you quickly organize for a meal? And, you know, the trigger of hunger, once we organized that meal, it changed the atmosphere in the house as we were settling and unpacking and doing everything. So understand your triggers and then do something about the triggers by knowing deeply what it is that's causing them and then interrupt the pattern. The Rise Masterclass will equip you with more tools to help you overcome that. But I want to encourage you, do not suppress them. Sort them out, because if you suppress, it'll fly off the handle because one time you'll be triggered beyond, and because we haven't dealt with the core issue, the root cause, then it will take us over as opposed to us being in control and managing it. I see a last question there around procrastination. And I want to say that, you know, I'm happy that you feel encouraged. And we spend a whole piece in the module around the 10 types of procrastinators. And so you're able to assess yourself and see what it is. But one of the things I want to encourage procrastinators here is I quote Bishop Rosie O'Neill. And she says, procrastination is the arrogant assumption that God owes you another chance to do tomorrow. I'm reading from the book Rise. Well, God owes you another chance to do tomorrow what He gave you the chance to do today. So, because I would sometimes procrastinate on things that I don't really like doing, I recognize that I'm actually behaving arrogantly, thinking that I have tomorrow to do these things. So I have found, and I'm going to say something that may sound a little brutal, that procrastination is a combination of fear and laziness. So the minute you say, you know what, I need to wake up and do that thing, put some of your biggest tasks first before you're interrupted, distracted, or your energy drops, and then get on with it. Sometimes you may have to ask yourself, do I need to drop, delay, do, or discuss and delegate? So it's to ask yourself, in the matrix of being outstanding, which are the pieces of work that only I should do? And sometimes you don't have the luxury of choosing what you need to do. So if you don't have the choice, determine how to do the big tasks early in the day so you don't procrastinate. Because procrastination is assuming we have tomorrow, and that is not guaranteed. Perfectionism, I talked about it earlier within the Leadership Masterclass. You will have an opportunity to actually figure out how to stop being a perfectionist. Because one of the things that comes across is that being a perfectionist has everything to do with people pleasing. And the minute you recognize you have an approval addiction, you start to recognize that the only person you should be seeking approval for, if you believe in God, is your maker. And then after that, the people who really matter. Everyone else after that is entitled to their opinion. And it doesn't matter what their opinion is unless they matter to you. So it's important for you to recognize what is the order of loves, the order of people you honor. Okay. I think that covers, I don't know if there's another question. All right. Other than that, I'm looking forward to connecting with you. You know, the beauty of joining these first cohorts of the masterclass means you also get personal attention from me, my Sarah, and Betty. So you have no business feeling that you're walking this journey alone. I want to hand over back to my Sarah and to thank each and every one of you and to remind you that in a world full of average people, you are meant to be outstanding. Dare to be a game changer in the game of your life. My name is Dr. Patricia Murakami. It's been an absolute joy sharing these insights with you and helping you move from being ordinary to extraordinary, starting inside out for a higher purpose. I look forward to seeing each and every one of you enrolling in the RISE Masterclass so that you can truly become your next best self, your most outstanding self. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Patricia. Thank you very much. The comments are just absolutely amazing. You know, people have really put in the comments. Thank you very much, everybody, for really sharing with us. We also look forward to connecting with you online. Let me just share my screen. We do look forward to connecting with you online. Hope you can see my screen. There we go. Yeah. Thank you very much for the comments. They're really edifying and just looking forward to everyone joining us. You're most welcome. Please feel free to contact us via mobile phone or WhatsApp, on our email or our website. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for honoring yourself and us with your presence for this evening session. Wishing you a lovely evening and a wonderful rest of your week. Thank you very much.